Join us as we explore the vast ocean where humans and majestic sharks meet. Our series unveils thrilling and awe-inspiring stories, highlighting the ingenious ways humans interact safely with these magnificent marine predators. Experience all the astonishing encounters from start to finish. On a serene night in 2008, Hahe Beach in New Zealand became the backdrop for an unforgettable story of resilience and transformation. Emily Turner, a woman with a gentle spirit and a love for the ocean, stood on the edge of this secluded beach, seeking a moment of peace away from the complexities of her life. The moon hung low in the sky, casting a silvery glow over the water, inviting her in. Emily had always found solace in the sea. It was her sanctuary, where she could shed her worries as quickly as her clothes by the shore. Tonight, she needed that escape more than ever. With a deep breath, she stepped into the water, leaving behind the world and diving into the calm, welcoming embrace of the ocean. As she swam further from the shore, the water around her seemed to sparkle under the moonlight, each stroke creating ripples of light. The tranquility of the moment was profound, a rare instance of complete harmony with nature. But this peace was not to last. Without warning, a sharp, searing pain erupted in Emily's leg, shattering the serene night. Panic surged through her as she realized what had happened. She had been bitten by a shark. An intense struggle for survival quickly followed the initial shock. Emily fought desperately, her screams blending with the crashing of the waves. In the chaos of the moment, Emily's mind raced. She recalled snippets of survival stories and advice on how to deal with a shark attack. She knew she needed to keep calm to avoid thrashing about and provoking the shark further. But the pain was overwhelming, clouding her thoughts and instincts. Somehow, amidst the terror and confusion, Emily focused on her breathing, attempting to calm her racing heart. She remembered reading that sharks often bite out of curiosity and rarely return for a second attack. Clinging to this sliver of hope, she began to swim back to shore, each stroke fueled by a desperate will to survive. The journey back to the beach was excruciating. Every movement sent waves of pain through her leg, but fear of another attack kept her moving. Emily's strength waned as the shore neared, but her determination did not. Finally, with relief and exhaustion, she reached the sand, dragging herself out of the water and collapsing under the moonlight. Lying there, panting and in shock, Emily's mind raced with the immediacy of her situation. She needed help and fast. But as she lay waiting for rescue, her thoughts drifted not to anger or vengeance against the creature that had attacked her, but to a deep ingrained curiosity about why the attack had happened. This moment, as painful and terrifying as it was, sparked a flicker of interest in marine life that she had never felt so intensely. Emily's ordeal that night on Hahe Beach marked the beginning of a journey she could never have anticipated. The physical scars from the shark bite would heal, but the psychological impact of the attack and the transformative path it set her on would change her life forever. Unbeknownst to her then, this harrowing experience would eventually lead her to become an advocate for the very creatures that had once brought her to the brink of death. As she awaited rescue, shivering and wounded under the moonlit sky, Emily Turner was on the cusp of a new chapter. A chapter not defined by fear and trauma, but by understanding, recovery, and advocacy. Her story was just beginning, and it would be one of courage, resilience, and an unexpected journey toward coexistence with the mysterious inhabitants of the deep. As Emily Turner lay on the cool sand of Hahe Beach, her body trembling from shock and cold, rescue came swiftly. Local fishermen, drawn by her cries, found her in the moonlight. The community rallied around her, providing first aid until the paramedics arrived. This act of kindness from strangers in her moment of vulnerability was a beacon of hope amidst the pain. The physical recovery was long and grueling. Hours in surgery to repair the damage to her leg were followed by weeks in the hospital and months of physical therapy. Yet it was during this healing time that Emily's true journey began. The attack that could have turned her away from the ocean forever, instead, sparked a deep-seated need to understand these creatures that share the earth with us. Driven by this newfound purpose, Emily immersed herself in the study of marine biology, with a focus on shark behavior. She learned that sharks are often misunderstood and that attacks on humans are rare and usually a case of mistaken identity. This knowledge transformed her fear into fascination and respect. As she regained her strength, Emily began to share her story. She spoke at schools, community centers, and marine conservation events. Her message was not one of fear, but of coexistence and respect for aquatic life. She advocated for protecting shark habitats and against practices like shark finning, which significantly threatened shark populations. Emily's efforts did not go unnoticed. She became a voice in the marine conservation community, and her story is a powerful testament to the possibility of turning trauma into positive action. She worked with local and international organizations, helping develop educational programs promoting ocean safety and shark awareness. But Emily's journey came full circle when she returned to Hahe Beach, not as a victim, but as a champion for the creatures that once filled her with terror. Standing on the same sands where her life had taken such an unexpected turn, she organized a beach cleanup and educational day, bringing together locals and tourists to learn about marine conservation. As the day ended, Emily found herself alone on the beach, looking out over the water that had once been a source of pain, but was now her life's passion. The moon glowed over the sea as it had on the night of the attack, but this time Emily felt a profound connection to the water, a sense of peace and purpose. Her story of survival had become one of transformation. Emily Turner, once a victim of a shark attack, was now a leading advocate for the very beings that had changed her life. She showed that it is possible to move beyond fear and trauma and find understanding and purpose in the most unexpected places. As the waves whispered against the shore, Emily knew her work was just beginning. There was much to be done to protect these magnificent creatures and the oceans they inhabit. But she also knew she was not alone in this fight. The community that had rallied around her, the scientists and conservationists she worked with, and the countless individuals she had inspired were all part of this journey. James Harrison, a seasoned diver with over 30 years of experience exploring the depths of the world's oceans, had chosen the Great Barrier Reef for his final dive before retirement. It was a sunny morning in 2001, and the Australian coast was as inviting as ever, with the clear blue waters promising a memorable exit from his professional diving career. James had seen it all, from the hauntingly beautiful wrecks in the Bermuda Triangle to the vibrant coral gardens of the Red Sea. Yet the Great Barrier Reef held a special place in his heart. He had completed his first dive here, and it felt fitting to end his career in the same waters that had sparked his lifelong passion. As he prepared for the dive, James felt a mix of emotions. Excitement at the prospect of one last adventure mingled with melancholy. Diving was not just a job. It had been his life, defining his relationship with the world and the people closest to him. Today, though, he looked forward to the quiet reflection underwater, a chance to reminisce and appreciate the beauty of the reef one last time. James plunged into the water, the familiar cool embrace enveloping him. He descended slowly, taking in the vibrant colors and the teeming life of the reef. Schools of fish swam by, unperturbed by his presence, while a sea turtle glided gracefully in the distance. It was a peaceful, serene world, far removed from the troubles of the surface. But tranquility turned to terror in an instant. A massive shadow loomed over him, and before he could react, a sharp pain erupted in his side. A shark, drawn by the commotion of his dive, had attacked, its mighty jaws clamping down. Years of experience kicked in as James fought to keep his composure. He knew that panicking would only exacerbate the situation. James pushed against the shark using all his strength, trying to leverage his dive knife as a defense. Surprised by the resistance, the shark momentarily loosened its grip, giving James a narrow window to escape. He propelled himself upwards, using his flippers to gain distance from the predator. Blood clouded the water, starkly contrasting the pristine beauty around him. James's mind raced. He needed to reach the surface to escape the water, but he knew the shark might follow. Drawing on his years of diving experience and knowledge of shark behavior, he made slow, deliberate movements, trying not to attract further attention. The ascent felt agonizingly slow, each second stretching out as James kept a vigilant watch for the shark. Fortunately, the creature did not pursue it. The relief was palpable as he broke the surface, gasping for air, but so was the pain. The attack had left him wounded, blood seeping from his side. A stark reminder of the encounter's ferocity. Rescue came swiftly. Having monitored the dive, his team rushed to his aid, pulling him aboard the boat. As they administered first aid, James lay back, the adrenaline fading, leaving behind a cocktail of pain and reflection. This dive, meant to be a celebratory last venture, had turned into a life-threatening ordeal, forcing him to confront the very essence of his existence. Lying there with the sun beating down and waves gently rocking the boat, James Harrison found himself at a crossroads. The shark attack, while a physical battle, had unearthed more profound questions about his life choices, relationships, and the legacy he wanted to leave behind. This final dive, though ending in violence, had cracked open the door to introspection and, ultimately, transformation. The diver who had entered the water that morning was not the same man now contemplating his future. As James Harrison lay on the deck of the boat, the pain from his wounds and the weight of his thoughts merged into a haze of introspection. The attack had not only shaken his physical foundation, but it also plunged him into deep reflection about the path his life had taken. With its unparalleled beauty and hidden dangers, the Great Barrier Reef had been the stage for this pivotal moment, marking the end of his professional journey and the beginning of something entirely new. In the days following the attack, as his physical wounds began to heal, James found himself grappling with a tumult of emotions. Regret for the times his career had taken precedence over his relationships. Gratitude for the adventures and the silent, majestic worlds he'd been a part of. And a burgeoning resolve to change the trajectory of his life. James realized that retirement didn't have to signify the end of his connection with the ocean. Instead, it could offer a new beginning, an opportunity to advocate for preserving the underwater realms he had so often explored. Rather than instilling fear, the shark attack ignited a genuine passion for protecting these creatures and their habitat. He began to see the encounter not as an assault, but as a powerful message from the ocean urging him to act. With renewed purpose, James set out to share his story, not as a tale of survival, but as a testament to the profound bond between humans and the marine environment. He partnered with conservation groups, lending his voice and experience to campaigns to safeguard the oceans. His first-hand account of the shark attack and subsequent journey of recovery and enlightenment resonated with people, drawing attention to the delicate balance of marine ecosystems. James also reconnected with his family, mending bridges that had frayed over years of absence. His experiences, especially the recent brush with death, had taught him the value of time and the importance of cherishing the moments with loved ones. Together, they embarked on projects that supported marine conservation, combining their efforts to make a tangible impact. Perhaps most significantly, James became involved in educational initiatives, teaching young divers about respecting marine life and advocating for safe, responsible diving practices. He shared his knowledge of the sea as a diver and a protector, encouraging a new generation to explore the oceans with awe and reverence. James Harrison felt a profound sense of peace as he stood on the shore of the Great Barrier Reef again, watching the sun dip below the horizon. With its endless mysteries and ancient wisdom, the ocean had been his greatest challenge and teacher. In confronting his mortality, he had discovered a deeper purpose. Though the last dive ended in violence, it opened the door to a journey of personal transformation and advocacy. James found his calling in the aftermath, dedicating himself to protecting the creatures that had once threatened his life. In this commitment to conservation and education, he had forged a legacy far beyond the depths he had explored as a diver. The shark attack, a moment of peril, had become a pivotal point in James's life, steering him towards environmental stewardship and personal growth. As the waves gently lapped at his feet, he realized this was not an end but a new beginning, a second dive into a life filled with purpose, passion, and the pursuit of harmony with the natural world. In the vibrant waters off Gansbaye, South Africa, known as the Great White Shark Capital of the world, Alex Thompson, a young and eager adventurer, embarked on what was supposed to be the thrill of a lifetime. It was a crisp morning in 2003, and Alex, with his heart set on experiencing the majestic great whites in their natural habitat, had joined a reputable shark cage diving operation. As the boat approached the dive site, the air buzzed with excitement and a hint of nervousness. Though no stranger to extreme sports, Alex felt a unique adrenaline surge at the prospect of coming face to face with one of nature's most formidable predators. The crew briefed the group, emphasizing safety protocols and the rarity of any danger. The cage was a sturdy steel bar structure designed to withstand the power of the great whites while offering unobstructed views. As the cage was lowered into the water, Alex's enthusiasm drowned out any flickers of fear. He descended into the blue, the visibility clear enough to see the sandy bottom and the curious shadows that began to circle. The first sight of a great white, its graceful power, left Alex in awe. The sharks moved with a calm authority, their eyes revealing an ancient intelligence. But the wonder turned to horror in an instant. A loud snap echoed through the water, and Alex suddenly jolted. The cage door, a victim of a rare but catastrophic technical failure, had swung open, exposing Alex to the open ocean and the circling great whites. Panic surged as he grasped the situation, his mind racing for a solution. With the door flung wide, Alex pressed his back against the cage's far side, trying to make himself as small as possible. The sharks, curious about the anomaly in their domain, came closer. Their sheer size and the ease with which they moved through the water were a terrifying beauty to behold. Alex knew that flailing or showing panic could trigger a predatory response. He made eye contact with one of the sharks, a moment that felt like an eternity, a silent conversation between species. Holding Alex's gaze, the shark glided past the cage, close enough for him to see the scars that marked its skin, a testament to its wild existence. At that moment, Alex realized the fine line between respect and recklessness in seeking adventure in the natural world. He signaled frantically for help, using the emergency procedure the crew had briefed them on. Above, the crew's swift response was underway, but each second underwater stretched on, filled with the acute awareness of his vulnerability and the shark's dominance. The crew worked with practiced urgency, aware of the gravity of the situation. A rescue diver equipped with a pole to guide the sharks away and secure the cage door was quickly deployed. Alex watched as the diver approached, admiring the calmness with which he navigated the tense situation, a calmness Alex tried to mirror. The ordeal, lasting only a few minutes but feeling like hours, ended with Alex safely extracting from the water and securing the cage door. Back on the boat with his heart still racing, Alex was consumed by a whirlwind of emotions. Gratitude for his safety, awe at the power of the great whites, and a newfound respect for nature's untamed wildness. As the boat returned to shore, Alex knew this experience would leave an indelible mark on him. The beauty and terror of the great whites, the fragility of human inventions in the face of nature's might, and the ethical questions surrounding wildlife tourism swirled in his mind, even as he realized his story was just beginning. As the boat returned to the safety of Gansbai's harbor, Alex Thompson sat wrapped in a blanket, his body still shaking from adrenaline and shock. The crew's experienced handling of the situation had prevented a potential tragedy, but the gravity of what had occurred hung heavily in the air. Alex's mind replayed the moment the cage door had snapped open, the cold rush of fear, and the imposing figures of the great whites that had circled him. In the following days, Alex's extraordinary encounter with the great whites off the coast of South Africa quickly transformed from a personal testament of survival into a global sensation. The footage, captured by the dive company's underwater cameras, went viral, showcasing the harrowing moments of Alex's vulnerability and the majestic beauty of the great whites in their natural habitat. The video sparked widespread debate across social media platforms, news outlets, and conservation circles. Discussions centered on the ethics of wildlife tourism, particularly practices that put both humans and animals in potential danger. Critics argued that such close encounters with predatory animals were inherently risky, blurring the line between respectful observation and intrusive thrill-seeking. In contrast, proponents highlighted the educational value and conservation awareness that responsible wildlife tourism could promote. Amidst the whirlwind of media attention, Alex found himself at the center of a conversation much more extensive than his personal experience. Interviews and talk show appearances followed, where he shared his story, emphasizing not the fear he had felt, but the awe and respect for the great whites. His message was clear. These creatures were not mindless killers, but complex beings deserving of our respect and protection. The viral nature of his story also prompted discussions about safety measures in shark cage diving operations. The dive company thoroughly investigated and improved its procedures and equipment to prevent future malfunctions. The incident served as a wake-up call to the industry, underscoring the importance of rigorous safety standards and regular equipment checks. For Alex, the experience catalyzed a deeper engagement with marine conservation. Moved by his encounter, he became an advocate for the protection of shark habitats and a vocal supporter of sustainable wildlife tourism practices. He partnered with conservation organizations, using his newfound platform to educate the public about sharks' crucial role in marine ecosystems and the threats they face from human activities. The ordeal had transformed Alex in ways he could never have anticipated. What began as a pursuit of adventure evolved into an advocacy and education journey. He realized that true adventure lay not in conquering nature, but understanding and preserving it. The sharks, once symbols of terror, had become his guardians of the ocean's delicate balance, and he dedicated himself to ensuring their survival for future generations. Alex's last dive in the cage had marked the end of one chapter in his life and the beginning of another. From the depths of the ocean and the jaws of peril, he had emerged a survivor and a champion for the creatures that had once threatened him, driven by a profound transformation that would define his path forward. The sun was setting over the crystal-clear waters of the Bahamas, casting a golden glow on the yacht where Sarah Jennings celebrated with friends. It was supposed to be a weekend of luxury and relaxation, a brief escape from the hustle of city life. But what started as an idyllic getaway quickly turned into a nightmare. A sudden violent storm capsized the yacht, throwing Sarah into the tumultuous sea. When she awoke, she was on the shore of a deserted island alone and without a sign of her friends or any rescue. The first few days were a blur of survival instincts. Sarah scavenged the beach for anything that might have washed ashore from the yacht: food, water bottles, and some rudimentary tools. She fashioned a shelter out of palm leaves and branches, her hands moving purposefully, driven by the primal will to survive. Despite the lushness of the island, she knew she couldn't stay there indefinitely. She needed to find help. Recalling the yacht's navigational maps, Sarah believed another inhabited island was within swimming distance. Though the exact distance was uncertain, desperation fueled her decision to attempt the swim. She set out at dawn with a makeshift raft of driftwood and vines to hold a few essential supplies, hoping the calm morning waters would ease her passage. The swim was exhausting. The sun beat down mercilessly, dehydrating her and testing her resolve. Then, without warning, a sharp pain shot through her leg, a pain so intense it clouded her vision with stars. A shark had bitten her, attracted by the lone figure in its territory. As she fought to keep her head above water, panic surged through Sarah's veins, kicking furiously at the shadow beneath her. The shark circled back, its black eyes unfeeling, but Sarah struck it with the makeshift paddle from her raft, using the last reserves of her strength. The creature, likely more curious than hungry, finally turned away, leaving Sarah bleeding and terrified. Adrift and in agony, Sarah clung to her raft, the island she had aimed for now seemingly an impossible distance away. The salt water stung her wounds, a cruel reminder of her vulnerability in the vast ocean. But the attack, while physically debilitating, ignited a fierce determination within her. She couldn't give up now, not when she had already overcome so much. With one good leg and a spirit that refused to be extinguished, Sarah paddled slowly, focusing on the rhythm of her movement to keep the pain at bay. Hours passed, or were the days. Time blurred as Sarah drifted in and out of consciousness, each wakeful moment a testament to her will to survive. The shore of the neighboring island finally came into view, but it might as well have been a world away. Her body was at its limit, and her injuries were severe. But Sarah Jennings was not one to succumb to despair. Drawing on a reservoir of strength she never knew she possessed, she propelled herself forward, inch by agonizing, until the waves carried her to the island's sandy beach. Collapsing on the shore, she allowed herself a moment of relief before the reality of her situation sank in once again. She was still alone, injured, and far from home, but she was alive. And as long as she had breath in her lungs, she would fight to be rescued, to return to the life she had been so abruptly torn from. The island that had seemed like salvation from her previous ordeal now presented a new set of challenges. But Sarah had faced the ocean's depths and emerged not defeated, but determined. Now she would need all her ingenuity and resilience to survive the days ahead, unaware that her story of survival would soon captivate the world. Standing on the sands of the newfound island, Sarah Jennings knew that her journey was far from over. Her leg, marked by the shark's bite, was a grim reminder of her vulnerability. Yet the island offered a sliver of hope, a chance for rescue and survival. With no time to waste, Sarah began tending to her wounds using the limited resources she had salvaged. She fashioned a bandage from part of her clothing, treating the injury with salt water, knowing the risk of infection well, but understanding the necessity of cleaning the wound. The next few days tested Sarah's resolve. She explored the island, discovering fruit trees and a freshwater spring, essentials that sustained her body. But the isolation proved the most brutal battle, and the silence was a constant reminder of her solitude. She kept a fire burning each night, hoping its smoke would signal her presence to any passing ships or planes. Sarah started a journal with scraps of paper she found in her makeshift raft to keep her spirits up and her mind sharp. She detailed her ordeal, survival strategies, and her reflections on life. This simple act became her solace, a connection to the world she hoped to rejoin. Her ingenuity shone through in the traps she set for fish and the shelter she improved upon, using techniques remembered from books and survival shows. Each small success was a victory against the desolation that threatened to engulf her. Then, on what Sarah estimated to be the third week of her ordeal, salvation arrived in the form of a small search and rescue plane. The pilots, drawn by the smoke of her signal fire, circled overhead before dropping supplies and a radio. Through crackling static, Sarah's voice, strong despite everything, called out her location and situation. The promise of rescue, of seeing her family and friends again, overwhelmed her with emotion. The world Sarah returned to was not the one she had left. Her story of survival against all odds, of a solitary fight against nature, captivated the global community. Media outlets clamored for interviews, while online forums buzzed with debates about the ethics of wildlife tourism and the dangers of adventure seeking in the modern age. Sarah's ordeal became a viral sensation, a narrative of human resilience and the will to survive. However, the experience was transformative for Sarah in ways that the public's fascination could never fully grasp. She became an advocate for responsible tourism and ocean conservation, using her story to highlight the delicate balance between human activity and nature's wildness. Her survival tale, while extraordinary, underscored a message of respect for the natural world and the importance of preparation and knowledge in survival situations. In the aftermath, Sarah penned a memoir detailing her days on the island, her thoughts, fears, and the lessons she learned in solitude. It was a tale of survival that reflected life's fragility and strength in adversity. Sarah Jennings' ordeal on the remote island after the shark attack and her subsequent rescue became more than a sensational story. It was a testament to the human spirit's capacity for endurance, adaptation, and the relentless pursuit of life. Her name became synonymous with resilience, a reminder that the will to live can forge paths to unimaginable strength and recovery, even in the most profound isolation. In the serene coastal waters of Cape Cod, Massachusetts, David Harper, a dedicated marine conservationist, found himself in the throes of a personal and professional crisis. For years, David had devoted his life to preserving marine ecosystems, focusing mainly on protecting endangered shark species. His work, often celebrated in the conservation community, was driven by a deep belief in the intrinsic value of all life forms and the importance of maintaining the delicate balance of nature. During a rare break from his conservation efforts, David took his family to the beach on a bright summer day. The outing was meant to be a celebration, a way to reconnect with his daughter, Lily, and wife, Maria, amidst the busy tide of work and environmental advocacy. The beach was crowded with locals and tourists, all basking in the season's warmth. The air was filled with laughter and the gentle lapping of waves against the shore. As the afternoon unfolded, David's attention was momentarily caught by a call from a colleague, drawing him away from his family's side. In this brief lapse, a moment's distraction, that tragedy struck. Adventurous and confident in the water like her father, Lily had ventured further out from the shore. Without warning, a shark, one of the very creatures David had worked so tirelessly to protect, attacked. The beach erupted into chaos as screams pierced the air, the day's joy turning to horror. David, his heart dropping to his stomach, rushed into the water, guided by the frantic shouts of those pointing towards his daughter. The sight that met him was one no parent should ever witness. Lily struggling in the water, her arm caught in the shark's jaws. With a desperation born of fear and love, David managed to pull Lily away from the shark, carrying her back to the safety of the shore. Emergency services were quick to respond, and Lily was rushed to the hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. The shark had disappeared back into the depths as suddenly as it had appeared. Sitting in the sterile white of the hospital room, watching Lily as she lay recovering, David was consumed by a turmoil of emotion. Anger, guilt, and a profound sense of helplessness swirled within him. The attack challenged the very foundation of his beliefs. How could he continue to advocate for the protection of creatures that had brought such harm to his child? Could he find it within himself to forgive, to look beyond the personal vendetta that surged within him, threatening to overshadow his years of conservation work? David's dilemma mirrors the broader conflict between human interests and the preservation of nature, a conflict now made deeply personal. The path forward was unclear, his convictions shaken. This was not just a question of professional commitment, but a profound moral crisis that touched the core of his identity as a conservationist, a father, and a human being. The journey ahead promised to be one of reflection, reconciliation, and perhaps a reevaluation of the complex relationship between humans and the natural world. In the weeks following the attack, David took a leave of absence from his work. His days were consumed by hospital visits, therapy sessions, and long reflective walks along the coastline he had once roamed with unwavering purpose. The ocean, which had always been a source of inspiration and solace, now echoed with the remainder of the day that had changed his family's life. The turning point came one evening while David was reading a story about the ocean's wonders with Lily. Despite her ongoing recovery, Lily's resilience shone brightly. Her innocent yet profound perspective on forgiveness and love for the sea, despite its dangers, deeply moved David. It was a moment of clarity that pierced through his turmoil. David realized his fight for marine conservation was about protecting sharks or preserving ecosystems, and fostering a world where his daughter could marvel at the ocean's mysteries without fear. His advocacy for sharks did not oppose his love for his family. Instead, it was a testament to his hope for a future where coexistence was possible. In the following months, David embarked on a new advocacy chapter. He began to focus more on education, working with local communities to promote shark awareness and safety in coastal areas. He partnered with researchers and safety experts to develop initiatives that could prevent shark encounters without harming the sharks or their habitat. His message was respectful and understanding, advocating for measures protecting human and marine life. David's journey from the depths of personal vendetta to a renewed commitment to conservation became a powerful narrative. He shared his story at conferences, in schools, and through media, highlighting the complex relationship between humans and nature. He spoke of the need for balance, policies, and actions grounded in science and empathy, rather than fear or retaliation. Lily's recovery and simple yet profound question reminded David that love for the natural world drives meaningful change even when it challenges us. His family's ordeal had transformed his approach to conservation, making it more holistic and inclusive of human concerns. David Harper had found his answer to the conservationist dilemma, not in choosing between his professional commitments and personal vendetta, but in embracing the delicate balance of coexistence, forgiveness, and the enduring wonder of the natural world. Elena Martinez, an acclaimed photographer with a passion for the raw beauty of the natural world, embarked on a journey to the remote coasts of Norway, her heart set on capturing the ethereal glow of the northern lights over the ocean. The allure of the aurora borealis, with its dance of colors against the night sky, had long captivated her imagination and beckoned her to this isolated part of the world. Equipped with her camera and a small rented boat, Elena ventured out into the frigid Arctic waters. It was a clear, crisp night, and the conditions were perfect. The silence of the surroundings, broken only by the gentle lapping of waves against the boat, created a serene backdrop for her photographic quest. As she adjusted her lens, the sky erupted in a symphony of greens and purples, a breathtaking display of nature's grandeur. In her awe, Elena leaned over the side of the boat, aiming for the perfect shot to capture the majestic beauty of the lights reflecting off the ocean's surface. However, she lost her balance in her intense focus and fell into the icy waters below. The shock of the cold was immediate and debilitating, her limbs becoming numb as she struggled to stay afloat. Then, in the haunting glow of the aurora, she realized she was not alone. A dark shape loomed beneath her, the unmistakable silhouette of a Greenland shark, one of the Arctic's most elusive predators. Elena's fascination with nature had always been tempered with respect for its power, but nothing could have prepared her for this. The shark circled, drawn by the disturbance in its quiet, dark world. Elena knew her chances of survival were slim. The cold was relentless, and the curious and perhaps hungry shark was an imminent threat. In a surreal battle for survival, she fought to keep her head above water, her movements deliberate to avoid provoking an attack. As the minutes stretched, Elena's struggle seemed futile against the ocean's vastness and its inhabitants' cold indifference. Yet even as she fought for her life, the beauty of the aurora overhead cast a surreal light on her ordeal, a stark contrast to the brutality of nature's reality. This moment, caught between the awe-inspiring display of the northern lights and the primal fear of the shark-infested waters, would mark the beginning of a story that tested Elena's will to survive, and her understanding of the delicate balance between humans and the natural world. As Elena Martinez fought to stay afloat in the icy waters, her survival instinct kicked in with a clarity she had never experienced. The Greenland shark, an ancient creature of the deep, continued its slow, ominous circling, its presence a constant threat. Yet amidst the fear, Elena's mind was surprisingly calm, focused on capturing every detail of this surreal encounter. She understood the rarity of this moment, even as she feared it might be her last. In a desperate bid for survival, Elena slowly moved towards the boat, her movements measured to avoid provoking the shark. Her photography equipment was lost to the depths, but her life still hung in the balance, tethered to the hope of reaching safety. The cold gnawed at her, sapping her strength, yet the lights above continued to weave their ethereal tapestry, a silent witness to her struggle. Miraculously, the shark eventually lost interest, disappearing into the dark waters, leaving Elena in her solitary fight against hypothermia. When she reached the boat, her muscles were numb. Her movements were almost mechanical. With the last ounce of her strength, she climbed back into the ship, her breaths coming in ragged gasps. She lay there for hours, staring at the aurora, a vivid reminder of nature's indifferent beauty. Elena's rescue came at dawn, and she was spotted by a Norwegian Coast Guard patrol alerted by her overdue rental. The news of her ordeal spread quickly, capturing the public's imagination. But for Elena, the experience was transformative. She had come face to face with one of the ocean's most mysterious creatures and survived. The encounter under the spellbinding northern lights was a stark reminder of the vulnerability and resilience of life on this planet. Months later, Elena's story, detailed in her own words and through the lens of her experience, inspired an award-winning documentary. The film explored not only the harrowing tale of her survival, but also delved into the life of the Greenland shark, highlighting the impact of climate change on these ancient creatures and their habitat. Her ordeal became a powerful narrative that brought attention to the lesser-known species of the shark world and the urgent need for environmental conservation. The documentary, blending stunning visuals of the aurora borealis with the dark, hidden world of the Greenland shark, captivated audiences worldwide. It raised questions about humanity's relationship with nature, the importance of understanding and respecting the wild, and the need for urgent action to address climate change. Elena, once a photographer chasing the beauty of the world, had become a voice for its preservation. Her encounter beneath the northern lights had been a battle for survival and a call to action, a reminder of the delicate balance between humans and the natural world. Her story, a vivid testament to the power of nature and the human spirit, continued to inspire long after the final credits rolled, urging all who heard it to look beyond the surface and preserve the planet's majestic yet vulnerable wonders.